Hi, I'm Selectman Sean Askham, and welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm once again joined by Selectman Cheryl Cook and Selectman Mike Payne. Guys, it's great to have all of us together.
Hello,
as always.
It's nice to see you.
Good to see you. As we said, it's been a while since we've seen each other, but
Yes, it has.
it's good to get the band back together.
Right.
Now that we got a little bit of snow, and it
as
finally
they only
feels
hug.
like
That's right.
finally feels like winter.
Snow.
So and the kids finally get a couple of snow days, so I'm sure they're happy about that. So
Oh yeah.
it's good to get that in there. So we've been very busy since the first of the year, since our last conversation. Obviously, we've got a lot of great things coming up. But first and foremost, Sherry, why don't you talk us through what's going on with Community for Care?
Oh, thank you. It is not the most important thing going on, but it is important to lots of people, and thank you for letting me talk about it. On February 24th, the Community for Care is going to be holding a panel discussion called Discovering Better Options, the Impact of Drugs on Youth and Young Adults. And this is Wednesday, February 24th at 6 p.m. at the Public Library in the program room. We have made it our mission this year to open up all of our programs to the general public in a more public setting. We will be filmed with the help of our wonderful volunteers here at SCTV so that the information is available to everyone.
Good.
We are particularly excited about this program because we think that it's timely given all of the unfortunate incidents we've had lately in the news of drug overdoses, different types of drug abuse, heroin, other drugs, and also the general atmosphere, of young adults having to deal with a lot of different stressors and how that affects, their mental health. So we have an excellent panel. Our resident therapist, he's also on our commission, therapist Mark Lehman is going to be heading up the panel. And on the panel we have parents, we have law enforcement, we have some professionals from rehabilitation, and we have a teacher and coach from the school system just to talk about their interactions with kids. We're really focusing on 13 to 24-year-olds. It's a wide range, but a lot of the same issues carry over from starting as early as middle school all the way through college. And we felt it was important to show that continuum so that people recognize that it doesn't stop at the school door. We feel very strongly as a committee that we should not just focus this on the schools because it's not fair to say that this is just a problem in school. It happens outside of school, it happens at home, it happens at work, it happens all sorts of places. And while the schools are very focused on improving curriculum and resources for young people, they can't do it all. So that's our mission, is to provide information and resources. And we're hoping that the community will find this helpful, and God forbid somebody has a crisis, there will be places to turn.
Well, I think that's really important, Sherry, and I thank you for taking that on. It's kind of a symptom of the whole village helping everybody out, and it does make us stronger, and we all sometimes need help, and I think that's wonderful that you guys are doing that.
We've been very fortunate to have a wide variety of backgrounds on our committee, and I am most grateful for the parents who have come forward, who have been through some very difficult situations in their own lives. Either they've lost a child, they have a child who has, been incarcerated, and we tend to not want to look outside of our bubble here in Simsbury, but it's inside the bubble, and we need to realize that, and we need to be able to talk about it as a community.
Well, that's the key right there. Is we've got to talk about it. We've got to surface these issues and make them anything but what they've been, is taboo and behind closed doors and hush. We don't, we whisper about it, but we don't get it out there. And hopefully with the work that you folks are doing, you and Chris and Pastor Woody and all the other great folks on there are really bringing that to the forefront. But it's on all of us as individuals to stop whispering about it and start talking about it and show up to these types of events and see the struggles and pains that people are going through and at least become more educated. It's amazing how little I knew about this, and I still do, but I'm learning through just the updates that you provide and others do at the Board of Selectmen level. We talked about suicide prevention and just the struggles that so many people in our own community live with. We don't even know. Could be your next door neighbor. Could be, somebody down the road, and it's very scary. Daily there's an article in the Hartford Courant about a heroin
Absolutely.
overdose now.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic in so many communities, as you've articulated,
Right.
and it's
The bravery of those parents who have come forward to talk about what has to be the most painful thing
Right.
that ever happens to a parent has really humbled me, and it drives me forward in this.
It's God willing, I'll never have to go through that or
Yeah.
experience that. But I agree with you that the respect for those people to share that moment and to help other people. That's all they're doing is trying to help other people. And I really, my hat's off to them.
Well, I hope you'll join us to hear their message. And I think it will be good for the whole community to get involved in this. We are going to have the panel taking questions.
Good.
They will be anonymous. We'll have pieces of paper available, and we'll just pass the questions up and let the panel answer them.
And just to be
So,
clear, this is for everybody.
everybody.
Right? Families with kids, without kids,
Yep.
concerned citizens, senior citizens, young adults, anybody that wants to come.
Anybody
Yeah.
who's concerned, anybody who wants to talk about it, anybody who wants to hear what we're doing as a community. So we're part of the mission as we go forward is this month we're going to focus on young adults and young people. Our next event is going to be in April, where we will be focusing on older adults.
Okay.
We actually have a very well-known physician coming in to talk to us about issues of dementia, depression, and drug abuse in our older population. It's much more common than you would think. One of the fastest growing populations of abusing different types of narcotics and other drugs
With all the opioids.
is over 60.
Yeah.
It's surprising, but again, it's out there. A lot of it comes from painkillers, opiates. A lot of seniors are just dealing with depression and other mental health issues, anxiety. And again, it's something that nobody talks about until you're facing it. But we're hoping that this will help families who might have an aging parent, they might be aging themselves, and they're worried about what's going to happen down the line. So we're looking forward to that. Again, more information.
It's good stuff.
It is. So,
Absolutely.
and as we go on, they will all be held in the library program room and open to everybody.
Great. And I have to commend both you and SCTV for putting them on the TV, because even people who may be uncomfortable to show up can actually go to the website and go online. They could even go to the library at a different time, go on one of their
Right.
computers and watch what happens. And I think that is just wonderful, both on your guys' part, but also SCTV to make that available. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited to present these programs going forward. So.
Absolutely. All right. Well, on the Board of Selectmen side, we had a pretty busy month last month with lots of appointments and reappointments.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I'm not sure that the community knows a lot about the range and breadth of volunteers and committees. You want to just speak for a minute about
Sure.
all the folks we have?
I was amazed getting on the Board of Selectmen. One of the additional jobs that all of us have is we are liaisons to a number of other committees, and there's almost 50 boards, commissions, and committees, some that are elected, most that are appointed, but they're really cover everything from community to care to the fair rent to tax abatement and everything else. And those people are typically appointed by the parties to those boards and commissions. And the the two town committees appoint their people, approve them, send them to the Board of Selectmen. We then approve them. And in some cases, there's actually a requirement that you have an unaffiliated voter to be on those boards and commissions. So that's all part of it. And
Right.
I'm going to say, I haven't done the count, but I bet there's close to 200 people, 150
I think
people.
that's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I was amazed at that, and these are all volunteers.
every single one
That's
of
right.
them.
And
Yep.
it is both humbling and amazing at the same time that so many people are involved and spend their time and thankfully do that. And having been involved to reach out to some people, 99% of the people are, sure, what else do you need me to do? How can I help? And, you know, it's our town, and we want to make it better. And it is very invigorating and wonderful to see. And
We should probably encourage, the general public to, if you're interested in just about anything that goes on here in
Absolutely.
town, from open space to, the water, to anything.
anything.
The arts, there's a place for you to
Yeah,
volunteer. So,
tourism.
Yeah.
And
tourism,
and you-
economic development.
Yeah,
or-
you can find something that to get involved in, and it is really the breadth of everything that goes on in town, and it's pretty cool that everybody can help out, and it's fun.
Absolutely. And just so folks know, just because we did a bunch of reappointments and appointments doesn't mean there's not still an opportunity. There's
Right.
vacancies all the time. Contact any one of us, contact the First Selectman's office. We will make sure that we get whoever wants to serve connected
Right.
to the right people to have that opportunity. And you're right, humbling and thankful for all the folks. I think is a great way to characterize it, is just the sheer volume of people that dozens of meetings a month, hundreds of hours a month collectively all these volunteers do is just, it's phenomenal. It makes the town better. So,
It does.
And the expertise they bring is amazing.
absolutely.
You know, I talked to one individual, and we were looking for a specific skill set. So I talked to a contractor that I knew, and he recommended an individual who, almost before I could get done explaining what it was, he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow.
It's beautiful when that works, right?
Oh, it's
It
great.
is.
It's
It is.
great.
Now, speaking of beautiful when that works, we're talking about my favorite topic next. It's budget season, my friends.
It's going to be work.
I love budget season. Anybody that's
I don't know
ever
if it's
spent
beautiful, but it's gonna be
everybody
work.
that's ever spent 5 minutes in a room with me during a meeting knows how much I love the budget. I talk about the budget all year long, and they all make fun of me about the budget,
We do.
and that's okay. But it is budget season.
Right.
We've got a number of meetings coming up. There's a full schedule that'll be posted on the town website under the First Selectman and Selectmen's page. There will be, I think, a Thursday night session where the budget will be introduced to us. There will be an additional all-day Saturday session. I believe that's March 10th right now is what that's
I
slated
think
Yeah.
for.
so.
I think so.
March 10th, March 12th. We'll check
Yeah.
the date on that. But again, the First Selectman's website, the town's website will have all of those dates. It will have a budget of the First Selectman's submitted budget. We have not seen that yet. She's still working on it with the finance director and town staff. We will get that later this month. This is February now. And then we'll start our process where we actually meet with every department head. We ask questions, we go line by line, we compare differences, we talk about needs, we talk about necessary services, basic services, police, roads, salt,
Right.
plowing,
Everything.
grass cutting, you name it, all of our roads, all of our basic services, senior center, et cetera. And then we talk about additional things. What do we like to do from a capital standpoint? Do we have extra money to invest in other projects in the town? So it's important because I think the number one thing that we get feedback on throughout the year, and I know one of my biggest frustrations is people are upset with the mill rate, or they're upset with this from the budget or that part of the budget. And I think we've had one person come to our public hearings in the last 4 years
Right.
when we actually sit down with the department heads and go through these line items.
Right.
And that's the time, if people feel passionately about more or less or just want to get informed. These are open meetings. SCTV films them.
Right.
They do put them up on the website. It's really important that people participate. That's the time to make the change. That's the time to make the impact. When we make decisions about funding certain projects or programs, we go with the facts that we have in the room. We obviously do our own research, but if people have additional perspective, concerns, complaints, whatever it may be, or suggestions, that's the time to do it. So, not to belabor the point too much, I apologize, but
No, that's okay.
it's really an important time for people to get in. Obviously, everybody gets a say at the budget referendum. There is a big public hearing that the Board of Finance does. But quite honestly, then we're talking about, is it 19 million or is it 18.9 million?
Right.
We're not talking about line items. We're not talking about, individual programs that matter to folks. It's really
Yeah.
get in on the ground floor and help us craft the budget.
And a lot of times people won't come in and say, I'm really upset that the library hours have been cut. And, it's things like that
Right.
when the library director comes in and gives us her line by line, we can say, well, why are we doing this? You know,
Right.
what kind of staffing needs
But to
do
be
we
clear,
have?
we have no intention of cutting the
We
library
don't. I'm
hours.
just saying that people already,
Careful now.
but it's those type of things and people don't realize. I mean, what happens at the farms? What happens at,
Right.
and yeah, you might not see it until the end of May or June, but then you're
Correct.
thinking, how did this happen? Why are we doing this? And now is the time.
Correct.
And you can pay attention when we have those budget sessions with the different department heads. You can actually go on to see who's coming in at which time, so you don't have to sit through
Absolutely.
all of the
point.
Come for a
presentations.
half an
Yeah,
hour, you can
that's a
come for
great
2
point.
hours.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yep.
point, Mike. Thank
You
you.
could join us. Bring
Yep.
your own cup of coffee.
Right.
But,
We're there all day.
please, really.
Additionally, another hot topic within the budget, not only the line items, but the capital projects, right?
Right.
There's obviously some big ticket items that we've been talking about for a couple of years. Henry James, the senior center, community center, obviously. Some lesser known items, but should get a full vetting and be known by folks is the Greenway connections. With the connection to Bloomfield, we've approved a grant application for that. There's got to be some community funding that comes to it. How are we going to connect Terrifield to the Greenway? We need to connect Terrifield to the Greenway. That's a gaping hole right now, and
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't allow us to get down to Hartford. We need to figure that out. That's several $1 million in those projects, and it's important that folks come down and tell us how they feel about it, either strongly for or against, or if they just want to be informed. Because ultimately, when we do vote on those, they go to the ballot, and you get an up or down vote individually on those items, and it's really important that folks hear about it. So.
In our capital projects, I will bet that a lot of people don't realize we actually are working out, not just this year, but there's a plan
6
that
years.
we put in projects and work our way through to get to them. It's typically 5 or 6 years out.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
that's how you plan ahead, which has, frankly, I was very impressed when I saw that when I got on the board. And it's a very good process so that you know what's coming and you can kind of think about things. And it's much like at our own homes, planning that in a couple of years I know I need to do my roof or siding or windows, instead of just, oh, they're leaking now, I got to do something. So you plan ahead, and it's a very good process.
Absolutely.
And it is a work in progress. So just because, the budget gets approved one year, all those things that are still sitting on the,
Correct.
5 years out from now, we can change. And, I've been watching the Public Building Committee, of hardworking group of volunteers.
Yes, they are.
But they oversee the public building projects. And, sometimes there are things that, you'd like to get done. There's, like lots of work being done at the farms, but all of it is not going to get done this year. And what are we going to push out to other years? What's very important to people? This year we're working on the warming room
Yep.
for the ice skating rink.
Which I'm sure lots of hockey parents are very appreciative of when that gets done.
I would have been very appreciative of that when I was a hockey parent, but
When I was skating over there, I would have
feel
liked
their
it.
pain.
But it's important to know.
But that's something that's getting done now
Yep.
that we might have talked about, 3 years ago.
Right.
But it is coming.
And folks need to look at it because we're joking around about the hockey parents, but it's not just about that. It's making sure that facility is what it should be for the kids, for the community.
Right.
We've improved the golf course, we've improved the swimming pool, we've improved the courts, we've improved the paddle, we've improved the ice rink. There's a lot that's been done. I know in my lifetime there wasn't a roof on that when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and they put one on. So again, we're constantly trying to improve to make sure that we're touching all members of the community, not just one group or another. Sometimes it has to happen in phases because we follow a strict 7% guideline, and the Board of the Board of Finance has done an excellent job of holding us to that,
Right.
so that we're not overtaxing our citizens, we're not overextending our debt and putting us in precarious positions, and we're extremely responsible with capital, because it's very easy for politicians, as we've seen at the state, to say yes and bond it for an irresponsible term and just pass that cost on to future generations, and we're living that now with the state, as we can
Right.
see.
Yeah.
Where they're out of ideas and they're out of money, and thankfully communities like ours who have been responsible and held the line and said no, but said yes to the right projects or the right
Right.
way, we're not having those challenges. So it'll be interesting to see. Stay tuned, more to come in terms of if there's any fallout from this DMV issue with cars being registered in the wrong town. I've asked the First Selectman's office to report back on that because that has me significantly concerned. If you watched any of the meetings, you guys know ad nauseum.
Right.
I don't trust the state to be giving us our car tax money back to begin with. And now this has further given me pause. So if folks are noticing issues or not seeing their car, registered for some reason with the assessor, obviously make that known.
Right.
But again, I know there's an investigation going on that both at the local and the state level.
Well, and since you opened that door,
I always open that door.
one of our biggest budget challenges this year is going to be money that we had been essentially counting on.
Correct.
Coming back from the state, which we've already been told that some of it is not coming
Yes.
back.
They keep scaling it back every time the governor
Right.
opens his mouth.
So, there are going to be challenges in this budget that are not of our own making. But,
Correct. But we will deal with them.
we are going
We
to
will.
deal with them, and because we have to, and because we have to be
We're
responsible.
responsible to our citizens.
That's right. We have to be responsible.
Absolutely. So I-
Back to your comment on DMV, if the residents of town could help us out by, when their vehicles come in to be registered, check to make sure that they show that the property tax town is Simsbury.
Yep. That's an
Because
excellent
I
point.
know
Yeah.
that I've had some of our company vehicles registered in a different town.
No.
Got changed, so
I
go
don't know
figure.
what's going on. with
First-hand
the
knowledge from
DMV.
a small business in our
Yeah.
neighboring community where it's having an impact. This
Yeah.
is not just political rhetoric. This
Right.
is real
No.
impact
No,
to communities,
it
and
is.
it's a challenge. And
I
it's-
tried to register a car that, I bought a used car. It took 6 months to get a title changed. I said,
Yeah,
that
it's,
type of stuff is just unacceptable.
Yeah,
It
we typically
really
don't
is.
wade into state issues here, but that one obviously is something that impacts us on a local level, and,
Right.
and again is going to potentially impact each and every one of our household expenditures on the mill rate, and obviously in what we can and can't afford in this community. So it's important that we're talking about that. And again, not to place blame, but to understand that these are the risks and challenges in front of us, and three of us plus our three friends, Lisa,
Right.
Chris, and Elaine, we've got to deal with that, and along with the Board of Finance. So,
Yeah.
and I know we will, and I have confidence in the six of us working together.
Well, and the reality is, back to the budget comment, our budget is made up of what we have for things that we can tax in town, what those revenues are going to be, and what our expenses are. And if we're sending money to the state and hoping to get it back, and suddenly we don't get it all back,
Right.
there's a shortfall.
Absolutely.
And we are responsible to the residents of town, and we got to do right by them.
Absolutely.
Can I get a quick comment in on one of those capital projects that we're
Of course.
the Senior Community Center.
Yes.
I'd just like to recommend to everybody that you take a look at the Public Building Committee meeting, which is on the SCTV website. It's February 1st. They have a short presentation, and it's not that long, but is the first concept drawings from the architect showing some of the actual, where the building fits and, what they see, happening at Simsbury Meadows with regard to the new building, if
Right.
it, comes to be there. So that is one of those capital projects where, it's going to be a big number, and we don't know what that number is, but it's going to be, discussed during this budget process, and it would be great if people started to focus on that a little bit so that you can see what it is we're talking about. We also have the programming report from the programming consultant so that if people are interested, you can see the types of things that we're looking at.
I believe that's on the town's website.
That's on the website also.
But just to be clear, there's not going to be a swimming pool at the senior center,
Yeah.
Right.
community
These
center.
are just ideas.
At least
but-
three of us are against that.
Yeah.
I believe there are
several
six of us
Ds,
against
yes.
the
Yeah,
swimming
I
pool. Not that we
don't-
don't
I
love
don't-
swimming pools, but
I think that's going to be unanimous. but
we've got
that's-
lots of those. No, but it's interesting, Sherry. You're right. I thought that report was excellent to kind of frame
Yes.
what are we talking about with programming here. We've been talking about it as a concept, right? But
Right.
it means something a little bit different to each one of us. It was really great to see this consultant, and I know consultant is a dirty word for some folks sometimes, but I think this individual, he's an expert in the senior center, community center community, really put down on paper, what are you talking about from an amenity standpoint?
Right.
What does that mean? What does that impact from a square footage? What are your demographics? How does that all kind of fit together? And it really, I thought, was well written from a community standpoint, not just
Right.
from a senior standpoint, although seniors have been our primary focus for this. I think you two have done a nice job of reminding me that this really has been a focus of a community center, and I think that's why we selected the Performing Arts Center as our primary option. The square footage and the building footprint is still open for debate, but there had to be something, a stake in the ground to kind of get us started.
Gotta start
I know there's impact to the dog park. I know there's impact to the Performing Arts Center. I know there's impact to the garden club. I know there's impact to the conservation
understand
groups.
that. Yep.
There's lots of impact, and we've got to weigh all that, and we've got to look at it and see if challenges can be overcome, if things can be accommodated, and
Right.
are there any showstoppers? We haven't run into any yet, thankfully, but that's an important process that we're continuing to go
Right.
through. So again, thank you for bringing that up. You're absolutely right. That's
But
one of our
as
most
we move
important
along,
items.
and I think all of us on the board now, all 6 of us, feel very strongly that we would like to keep this ball rolling.
Got to keep it moving.
And because it's important to the community as a whole. So I
It
would
is.
encourage everybody to get as informed as you can.
I agree.
And those drawings are really initial drawings. They're not to
It's a concept, yeah.
concept. There's no architecturals or anything
No.
else. It's really square footage. What do you want in the
There is
building?
a size, and it's
Yeah, but you've got to.
yeah.
Is it a closet or is it a bigger room?
Right.
So
1 story, 2 stories. This is a 2-story concept building.
Parking.
Parking,
All sorts,
all
yeah.
that. And we're really trying to fit it into the Simsbury Meadows concept. Giving views, hiking paths. How can we blend this in so that the whole community can enjoy it?
Right.
And I'm trying, to keep that in front of people's
doing
minds.
You're doing excellent work with your friends there in the public building. I know
So-
they've met a lot, and you've been there along with them. So thank you
Yeah.
for
One of the things everybody was
keeping
most
connected.
excited about is getting rid of the porta potties.
that would be a plus side. Although for the larger shows, I'm not sure that's
by something.
I'm not sure that's a reality for the larger shows. But those are some of the challenges we're
Very
working through.
exciting.
So we've obviously had a lot going on. We've got a lot coming up. In the closing minute here, again, I think it's most important for our folks in the community just to get out, be part of the process, and that's I think a theme we talk about a lot here. Volunteer, as so many of you do. Come out and give us your feedback. If you can't come see us at a meeting, email us,
Yep.
call us, come see us at Fitzgerald's. We're here at SETV every month. Come see us. You can find us, all 6 of us, and we all talk. We all make sure that we share information with each
Right.
other. We share the comments and the feedback that we get from the community. We do listen. It does make an impact, and we appreciate it. So,
Absolutely.
guys, it's a pleasure being here with you as always, and we
Thank you.
thank you folks for tuning in again. SCTV, as always, we appreciate you having us and letting us talk for our time here, and stay warm. And hopefully there'll be a little bit more snow. We get maybe 1 or 2 more snow days in there for
Just
the
a
kids.
little bit.
No.
So, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.